And into our top story now this hour, the National Assembly says it will, without delay, implement the Constitutional Court ruling that it amends its rules to include a mechanism to deal with the impeachment of a president. The Constitutional Court earlier today ruled that Parliament had failed to hold President Jacob Zuma accountable over the Nkandla saga. The EFF, supported by the UDM and COP, pursued the matter, arguing that Parliament failed to establish an inquiry after the Constitutional Court found that the President had breached his oath of office. Meanwhile, the ANC says it will study the judgment handed down by the Constitutional Court against Parliament. The ruling party says it will discuss its full implications when the National Executive Committee meets on the 10th of January in 2018. Meanwhile, there's been mixed reactions to today's Constitutional Court judgment. Opposition parties have unanimously welcomed the judgment and urged Parliament to comply without delay.
We welcome the ConCourt judgment. Indeed, the process of impeachment is underway. In doing so, the courts were careful in not to interfere. They simply told us to say, yes, the Constitution is talking about the impeachment, but go and draw rules for yourselves, and you can start the process of impeaching any president, including the current one and future president. That's the meaning of this judgment.
By protecting him, they showed themselves to have failed the mandate of the people. Now, they have been instructed to go and develop the procedure to hold the president accountable by way of an impeachment procedure. That makes it impossible for anybody who will become speaker or occupy those offices in future to continue to toy with the mandate the people give to Parliament to hold anyone who behaves like a scoundrel from being held accountable.
This particular ruling now doesn't give us any leeway but to establish a committee that will oversee vote one, the presidency. And arising out of that, well, obviously all the expenditure within the presidency will arise.
We will welcome the judgment as we welcome any steps that are taken to keep the executive to account. We need much more of that in South Africa. The executive are not kept to account the way they should be, and in that sense we welcome that decision. Our concern to a certain extent is, however, that it's not so much the Parliament that is in the wrong, but the ANC as the political party with the majority in the House. They've been protecting the President all along since 1994. They prevented right from the beginning that there's no oversight committee of the presidency. They tried to prevent us from taking the necessary steps with regard to Nkandla, the whole affair. The problem is the ANC, not so much Parliament itself.
This judgment is a very important judgment in terms of the context of that nobody can be a judge in his own case, and that's the reason why it was critical for the Constitutional Court to make it clear that Parliament must design the rules and draft the rules in order for when a president has to be removed, that there's proper rules in place. And also secondly, that you can't confuse a motion of no confidence with an inquiry. It's two separate legal entities. And I think an important critical issue for our maturing democracy is the fact that the court have also, ruled in terms of the cost. That the National Assembly and Parliament and the Presidency have to pay for the cost, for this particular application. Another important issue was the issue of that Parliament must design these rules without delay.